Alright, this is miracle number 7. This is going to be about guardian angels. And this goes back to, I believe it was 2008. I was going to San Diego a lot and for business. So I would, rather than rent a hotel, I would rent a house because I'd be there for several days, and it's a lot easier to live and cook for yourself, and it's a lot roomier, just nicer, and it's the same price. So I was staying at a house, and I was still messing around. I drove to Tijuana. No, I went to Tijuana. I drove, but then I didn't drive in. I probably parked. Yeah, I parked on the American side. I went to Tijuana, and I went to a pharmacy, and I got Xanax and phentermine. So to use them recreationally. And then I don't remember if it was the same trip. It was probably another trip shortly thereafter. I went down there again, and I allowed myself to be stopped by the guys who always are trying to lure you into one of their clubs, and I, against my better judgment, I allowed them to convince me to buy the Xanax from them, and they'd go get it and get it a lot cheaper. Instead of $2 a pill, it was like 50 cents a pill. And so anyway, when I got back, something was wrong, and I knew something. I just didn't feel right. And when I took those pills, they didn't look. They looked prescription, but they didn't look like the Xanax bars I had before. I knew they weren't. I just figured they were generic, but as it turned out, they weren't Xanax at all. And the first day, I was feeling really weird and light, just weird. And I spoke to my wife at the time about it, and she was mad at me because she could tell I was taking something. And then it was the next day when I was feeling weird again. Again, it was summertime. Might have been just summertime in San Diego, sunny, beautiful as it always is. Might have been, probably was more like September, I don't know, but it was, I kept a journal back then, and I don't have that journal with me now, but if I looked at the journal, I would be able to get the date that this all happened, because I have a record of it. And so anyway, I basically was going to walk to the beach. All I was wearing were shorts and flip-flops. I had a great build and a good tan, and I was, concentrating on working on it, the tan, and just loving the weather down there. So I figured I'd walk to Pacific Beach because I was renting a house in La Jolla, and I decided to go to the Starbucks at Pacific Beach because I wanted to get one of their smoothies. They're like protein smoothies, something new that they had, like, and I was, obviously eating healthy and working out back then. So, but I decided to go to the one not closest to me, but in Pacific Beach from La Jolla. So I started walking, and whatever those pills were, really had me lightheaded. And what happened was I passed out. I didn't know until I woke up, and I remember waking up and opening my eyes and seeing all these people gathered around me, and I closed my eyes hoping that it was a dream, and then I heard the voices saying, do you know where you are? You're in La Jolla. And once I heard that, right away I knew this isn't a dream. Then I opened my eyes again, and this lady came down, and she grabbed me by the face, and she made me look at her, and cause I guess my eyes were rolling in my head. And she said, "Just focus on me." She just said, just focus on me. And then by trying to do that, my eyes, I guess, stopped rolling around, and I was able to focus. And then there were paramedics there, and they took me away in the ambulance, and they were taking me to a hospital. And as I was in the back of the ambulance, I didn't have my flip-flops anymore. All I have are shorts. And I was told, the paramedic was apologizing for taking so long, and I told him I had no idea how long it took them. And then turned out that my blood sugar was in the 20s, and I found out later that usually if you prick somebody and take their blood sugar and it's in the 20s, it's usually a corpse. And then so they got me down there. My blood sugar was low. They brought me to the nicest hospital in San Diego, Thornton, or the nicest hospital I've ever seen. And my blood sugar was low. Then they gave me like something to eat, some juice. Then it went up to a normal level. But then it went down again after about another hour. They just kept monitoring me. This was in the emergency room. And then I don't know if it was because the insurance, they knew I had really good insurance, or a combination, or maybe just really I don't think they would have kept me in if I didn't have insurance. But so they checked me into a room, and beautiful room. I had it all to myself. I guess that hospital is designed by the same company that designs like 5-star hotels, like the I can't think of a 5-star hotel, like whatever, the Ritz, whatever. And you have a menu, you can order whatever you want, whenever you want. Salmon, anything you want. And so anyway, I'm checked into that room, and the lady who was on the street at that time and grabbed my face and told me to just focus on her eyes so that my eyes would stop rolling around in my head. She came to visit me, and she told me the story about how she was driving. She had gone, I forget, she used to be like in human resources. Then she was taking some life-saving courses and scuba diving, and that day she had gone lobster diving. And then she insisted on telling me this story, to where I had to basically relent, or not relent, but just fess up. Hey, you saved my life. Obviously, you're telling me this. And she said how the odds, I remember her exact words. She said the odds of her being there, driving down the street and seeing me, she said basically convulsing, or on the side of the road, totally out. She said, I remember her words were 1,000,002, and then she was about to say 1, and she said none. In other words, she was basically trying to say, I don't know how the hell I even took that road and ended up there, but I did. And now she believed, it vindicated her, she was saying, because people were questioning her change of career, going to this life-saving stuff. And her life-saving skills obviously came in handy in my case. And she talked about how the paramedics, the kids who were there first at the scene, were just looking at me like I was some nut or they didn't know what to do. And then she called 911, or she made them call 911 again, and she told them that they better get over here. This wasn't some homeless person, um, which I guess is what they're used to, and that's why they don't come running, because it's a common occurrence for homeless people to OD. And that's why the paramedic was apologizing to me, because they did take their time. And she was telling me how she told them, don't take him to like the county hospital. But when they arrived, they asked her what's wrong, and she said, "I'm not telling you anything until you stick him." And she refused to engage any conversation. She said, and I guess right away he checked my blood sugar, and that's when it was like in the 20s, like low 20s. And then whatever they shot me with, whether it was adrenaline or sugar, whatever it was, that's what opened my eyes, and that's why all the people who were there. By the time I woke up, there were about 6 people there, and I found out later. They when this happened to me, I guess I was on the phone with my wife, so my wife heard this whole thing happen. I was on the cell phone and I passed out, blacked out, and well, what I think the pills that I was given by these guys in Tijuana, I believe it was probably a diabetic drug like glyburide or glipizide. I had a friend who was diabetic who used to take that stuff, and it lowers your blood sugar. If you're not diabetic, it could lower your blood sugar to a dangerously low level. Because I remember, would have been in like 2000, when I was with my friend. He let me take one, and then he started laughing because I literally felt like I was going into shock. And he gave me something sweet right away, because being a diabetic, he had all kinds of sweet things laying around. So he monitors the fluctuations in his blood sugar, either with the pill or the sugar, because he doesn't have normal insulin. So that's why I suspect that that's what it might have been, because it basically, you can go into coma and die with insulin. So anyway, that's the miracle, how this woman basically, I saw on a video on YouTube. If I can find it, I'll add it into this video, but if I don't, I'll just take my word for it, that demons, when they attack somebody, when they're going after somebody, they obviously don't go after people who aren't saved, because those people are already on their way to hell. So they attack people who are saved. And this was after I was saved, after I was baptized, after after I was born again on July 1st. But obviously, I was continuing some reckless behaviors. I really wasn't. If it wasn't for these guys messing around with me in Tijuana, Xanax wouldn't have done that to me. Xanax is bad for you, and you could black out if you combined it with alcohol, but not like that. So those guys were probably demonized, as you know, Tijuana, everything. They pray to the devil, Santa Muerte, and all that other stuff, and they're obviously drug dealers and demonized. And but I heard that the demons, or your guardian angel, you have demons, and you also have a guardian angel if you're saved. But the only thing that the guardian angels can't stop you. They can't interfere with your free will. They can't stop you from doing something that you want to do, even if it's sin. They can protect you, though, when it's outside of your free will. So in my case, this would have been somebody trying to kill me. It wasn't my free will to take pills that would lower my blood sugar to a dangerously low level. I thought I was taking Xanax, and I thought I was taking it as just a mild sedative. So that is definitely a guardian angel bringing this woman, the only woman who would know what to do and who would be so forceful about saving my life, because she said these two kids who were there were just kind of like whatever. And it wasn't until I came to that, people were finally like, oh wow, probably thinking, wow, we almost let that guy die, and here he is now, awake, coherent, not on any kind of drug. I mean, not like a recreational drug. And I guess there was another woman there who picked up the phone because my wife was still on the phone, and she was talking to her, saying, I found this later talking to my wife, so, and then the woman was saying, oh, well, he's handsome, and then saying, oh, he's really handsome, and then my wife saying that she was crying and saying later, that's when I realized I loved you. And then I was thinking, why, number one, why wouldn't you know you loved me before that? We're married 4 or 5 years at that point. This would have been 2008, right? 4 years. And then why didn't you tell them about the night before when I said I was afraid, that you would have known I was taking drugs? And I wonder if it's because she knew that I had a $500,000 life insurance policy on me, because I never told them at the hospital that I took those pills, and they kept me in there 3 days, and then they finally let me go, and then they called me later and told me that they found something with the C-peptide level, but I just attributed it to those pills, and it never happened to me again. But my life was definitely saved that day, and if I ever get that woman's name and number, her name, I know she's in San Diego. I just don't have that. But if I ever get that woman's name again, and if I ever contact her, she would obviously be able to fill me in on some of the details I don't recall. I also have notes in there from when it happened. But anyway, I almost died on the street in La Jolla, California, and by this woman's own testimony to me, it was a miracle that she was there, and she was the one who definitely saved my life. She took charge of the whole situation, and came to see me. And then later, a policeman came to give me my wallet. I guess my wallet, the San Diego police took my phone, or my wallet and my phone, I don't know. They just dropped it off. It was a nice female officer, and but this would have been now the third time. This would have been the first time since I was saved spiritually that my life was saved. But 2 other times, I'll close real quick with these 2 other times. One time was when I was in college, and one time was when I had graduated from law school. And one time I was driving on 95 North between Philadelphia and Trenton, New Jersey. And then the other time I was driving on the 90, the Kennedy Expressway in Chicago. And each time my car, the time on 95 would have been like in 1992, and I was going to my girlfriend's near Trenton. She lived near Trenton in New Jersey, and I was coming from Philadelphia, and it was snowing, and I had been drinking at the bar with my cousin, and obviously we're in college, and on 95 my car did a total 360 in the middle of 95, going 50, 60 miles an hour, and there wasn't a single car near me, but there were rows and rows of cars, maybe like 10 lanes back. It was very bizarre, like where I could actually. Why were there no cars even? I was the only car, but then there were massive cars, but none in front of me, none behind me when this happened. And I was alone, and I told my girlfriend about it, and she didn't really make much of it. She was probably mad at me because I was drunk. I wasn't like incoherent drunk. I had been drinking. And then this time I was drinking again in Chicago. My car, a different car I had, like a Volkswagen, basically same thing happened. And the car went into the median, the side, the wall that separates eastbound and westbound. And I ended up leaving the car there. But it was the same situation. There were plenty of cars way behind and plenty of cars way ahead. But for whatever reason, when this happened to me, there were no cars in my vicinity to cause an accident with another car. And I left the car there, left my keys there, went to a club, and then as I'm coming out of the club, when the club was closing at 4 in the morning, I'm looking for my car because I don't recall any of that. And then a tow truck drives by, and the guy stops, and it's a black guy, African American guy, whatever. And he offers me a ride, and then I get in the truck, and he says, "Don't you remember me? I'm the guy who picked you up on the Kennedy." And then he drove me all the way home to my, I didn't go home, I had him drop me off at my parents' house, because I lived downtown at that time, but I wanted to go back to my parents. And then the car with the keys got picked up by a tow truck company. They took it down to the south side, some yard down on the south side. And the next day, that tow truck driver called me on my cell phone. I'd given him my card or my number, just to make sure, are you okay? I just want to call you, make sure you're all right. And then when I talked to the people who owned the yard where the tow truck was driving out of, and where they brought the car back to, it was a white guy. And I remember when I was telling him, I said, "You're a tow truck driver." He said, "What tow truck driver?" When I was talking about the black guy, I said, "The black guy." And he said, "I don't have any black tow truck drivers." So, is that guy an angel? Is he a guardian angel? Did a guardian angel send him again to protect me? But anyway, that's miracle number 7. Guardian angels are real, and God will protect His people from the devil, because their demons are trying to kill me. Of course, they're trying to kill you. If they can, they would, to drag you down to hell. But so long as you're alive, you have a shot. So I've always had a sense that something was protecting me, because I don't get really, when I escape a near death, I never get really rattled. You could call it cool under pressure or whatever, but I mean, I could tell you so many times. There's definitely the Holy Spirit operating, and God is all around me, and He could be all around you too. So that's miracle number 7, and I'm going to end it there.